Welcome to
Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Welcome to Chicago Junction, designed for your journey to the amazing world of railroading, both the real deal and in model form. I'm your announcer, Brian Valu, and here's our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, and Chief Electrical Engineer, Mr. John DeVito.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVito Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, May the 8th, the year 2024. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Yay!
Well, thank you, John. And now for our chief dispatcher, who keeps the chaos in check, Mr. Jack Red Ryan, who is looking down on us to keep us from killing ourselves. But my name is Brian Valu. I am a rail aficionado. I belong to several museums. I have one out in Campo, the Pacific Southwest Railway Museum. I have one for the Reading Railroad Company, and I like to play with Lionel, both the large scale and the O gauge. And on my right, I have my friend and compatriot, Mr. Ron Mesner.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Messner, and I'm a guard railroad. And I'm working on my railroad because the weather got really nice. Because usually it doesn't get put in till June, but it's going to be put in soon. And to my left...
Hi, this is Doug Kenyak. I'm an N-scaler, model railroader in N-scale. I'm a regular rail fan, officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago, which meets on the third Friday of every month, except in July and August. And also adjunct professor at Railroad Wright College. So without further ado, who's going to go first?
You, sir.
All righty. A couple of nonsense stuff. Metro responds to Chicago Transit merger proposal. I don't know if you guys heard this, but the General Assembly, House Bill 5823, wants to merge RTA, Metro, Chicago Transit Authority, and PACE into one unit.
I heard that.
And they said that, well, in a statement, Metro officials said they allowed the state lawmakers that introduced the bill for starting the conversation. The real reason is they can't figure out how to appropriate the money. Because right now, the money is done on boardings. Who has the most boardings? And CTA says, well, we have the most. And Metro says, no, we have the ones that go that they want to measure it by distance. PACE goes, I don't care what you guys do, we just need money. So it's coming down to they don't know how to fund these guys. So if they make it one agency, there's no more fighting over funds. That's why they want to merge them. Okay, NS and Ancor. Final push for shareholder vote. And this is going to happen on May 9th, which today's May 8th, tomorrow's May 9th. Norfolk Southern annual stockholder meeting is on May 9th, and three venture fund managers want to take over and kick out the current board and put their own in there. And I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but essentially what they're saying is they want the Norfolk Southern railroad empire to go back to basics. Now, nobody knows what that means. There's a 192 slide presentation of what these guys want to do, and you can't read it. It's all fine print. And I looked through some of it, and I just said, well, I'm going to copy this as an example how not to do a presentation. Anyway, that's the crux of it. Now, we're trying to figure out what it means go back to core operations. Nobody knows what that means. All I said was, well, if you like short lines, it'll be good news because you know they're going to cut track left and right to do that. So that's the story there. The unions are split. Some of the unions want this action to happen. Some unions are against it. Seems to be no consensus which way this should go. Again, it's the three money managers between the three of them own 51% of the stock. So they really don't need any other stock to do this. They have the majority. But they're actually soliciting stockholders right now, proxies. So that's the story there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. We'll find out tomorrow what happened, or day after tomorrow, when you'll see all the stuff show up on the forums and stuff and what happened. So, again, it's at the boardroom level. I don't know what this means for the employees. Does it mean more automation? One employee in the front and one guy driving around, like they're proposing. Automated trains, driverless trains. Who knows? You got a new bunch of guys who are money guys. They'll look at the thing and say, wow, what's a 300? We'll run 400 car trains and stuff like that. So we don't know what they got in mind. Again, what's the definition of we're going back to core values? I have no idea what that means.
How can they even make a statement and they don't know what they're talking about?
Well, that's why I looked through the...
Yeah, just don't make sense to me that, you're going to do something, but they don't know what the right and the left are doing.
Yep, that's essentially it.
Gee whiz.
Yeah.
The brains, the hound.
Yep. Amtrak to launch new Twin City Chicago round trip starting May 21st. Amtrak offers a new second daily train service between Twin Cities and Chicago via Milwaukee. The name of this train is the Borealis train. I kid you not. Borealis trains will originate from St. Paul, Minnesota at midday and from Chicago in late morning. The Borealis trains will make the current Empire Builder stops between St. Paul and Milwaukee and Hiawatha stops between Milwaukee and Chicago. Another benefit of the Amtrak Borealis service is that the new eastbound Amtrak origination from Ramsey County Union Depot in St. Paul. A second daily passenger rail service connecting St. Paul to Chicago via Milwaukee is a welcome addition to our transportation system. So Amtrak's starting a new train, probably get out to the tracks and see it go by. It'll probably look like all the other Amtrak trains, I bet. Here's one that's fun, and I know Brian wanted to hear this because we were talking about this outside. Teamsters authorize strikes at CN and CPKC. The Teamsters Canadian Rail Conference yesterday announced that close to 10,000 workers at CN and Canadian Pacific Kansas City have voted to authorize a strike against both Class 1s. Unless the parties can reach an agreement, a work stoppage would occur as early as May 22nd. CN conductors, locomotive engineers, and yard workers have voted 97% in favor of the strike, while 99% of the CPKC conductors, locomotive engineers, and workers voted to approve the strike. In addition, CPKC rail traffic controllers have voted 95% in favor of a strike. After 6 months of negotiations with both companies, we're no closer to reaching a settlement than when we first began. In an effort to reach a negotiated agreement, CN suggested a simplified alternative path to achieve a deal prior to the earliest possible deadline strike of May 22nd. Yeah, good luck on that.
What are they asking for?
I have no idea. I haven't looked at it yet. Meanwhile, the United Steelworkers has formally ratified a new 3-year collective agreement with the CN. The United Steelworkers represents 2,500 track and bridge employees at the railroad. That agreement, which expired December 31st, will expire at December 31st, 2026, includes wage increase each year, enhancements to eligible expense reimbursements, and improved medical dental health care benefits. So one union's ready to walk out, the other union settles. Makes perfect sense. So I'm trying to give them enough time to get down here.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gulf and Atlantic, a owner of a bunch of short-line railroads, purchased the Pioneer Valley Railroad, which was Pinsley's last short line. Now, Pinsley goes back 100 years as a short line operator. So Gulf and Atlantic yesterday announced that they're rebranding their company from Gulf and Atlantic to Pinsley Railroad Company. So now they own 6 railroads.
Who?
Gulf and Atlantic is rebranding themselves as Pinsley after buying the last Pinsley
Pinsley Railroad.
Yeah,
I
the
read
last
that
Pinsley
one.
was Pioneer Valley. Yeah, and also they'll have 6 railroads: the Pioneer Valley, the Grenada, the Florida Gulf and Atlantic, the Chesapeake and Indiana, Vermilion Valley, and Camp Chase Railway. So that's the story there. I was talking about the NS strike that's coming
Yeah.
while you're upstairs. A company called Intramotive, INTRAMOTEV, builder of autonomous zero-emission rail solutions, announced a partnership with Carnouse America to deploy the tugboat technology at a mining site in Cedarville, Michigan. With support from the Michigan Mobility Funding Program, Intramotive will deploy 3 tugboat battery electric rail cars at the site to support the new railway that will carry 1 6-car train of ore per hour. The deployment is estimated to eliminate 55,000 gallons of diesel fuel and 617 tons of vehicle-level CO2 emissions. Basically, automated 6-car ore car trains. I looked them up on the map. Yeah, they're so isolated, it's not funny. It's up there in the upper UP.
Yeah.
So, here's one. Brightline breaks ground for high-speed rail line. Starting in Nevada, they just broke ground and built their line into California. 218-mile. The system will be conducted in the middle of Interstate 15 for most of the way, featuring zero-emission, fully electric trains capable of speeds of 200 miles per hour.
This is the one that they've been doing, the green line.
Yeah. The project recently was awarded $3 billion in funding from the Infrastructure Act. The rest of the project is privately funded. What I think is going to be interesting, they just started, right? California's been working on the one between LA and San Francisco. Want to bet this one's done first?
Because they're not going to put up with the bullshit from the
NIMBYs.
The NIMBYs.
Yeah. So it says upon completion will be 322 miles of overhead lines to the trains. So yeah, and it says, being inside I-15, you have, guess what? 0 grade crossings. And you wonder why the one in Illinois doesn't work right. Else.
See, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they've seen all the mistakes that have been made in the by the NIMBYs, and they notice it's getting far and few in between now because they're running out of money.
Yep. So it says here, like, privately led infrastructure project is one of the largest, will be to be constructed and operated by union labor. It will use 700,000 concrete rail ties, 2.2 million tons of ballast, 63,000 tons of U.S. American rail steel to build this. That's their current estimate. So the system will have stops in Las Vegas, Victor Valley, Hesperia, and Rancho Cucamonga.
No wonder Bethlehem is starting to reactivate.
Yep. That's a lot of material.
I mean, that's a lot of rail.
Yep.
And we haven't been doing that in a long time.
And I hope they don't mess it up either. So, DLIN tests IA to improve operational safety. Now, I mentioned this last month about using AI programs to monitor the Dallas system. Well, this one in Belgium. The public transport operator for Belgian region of Flanders, DLIN, I think that's how you say it, LIJN, is currently testing the use of artificial intelligence to improve the safety of light rail operations, working with rolling stock manufacturers CAF and OTIV, a Belgium startup specializing in rail automation. Now, this is their light rail. Trials will be conducted on the 67-kilometer light rail line that runs along the Belgium coast between De Pan and Knokke. Now, I looked it up on the map. Guess what? No grade crossings, except for the people going to the beach. This 1,000 millimeter gauge line, narrow gauge for you people who are trying to figure this out mathematically, has a wide variety of operating environments ranging from town centers and busy seaside resorts to quiet areas of the countryside. A CAF Urbos 100 LRV has been fitted with sensors to detect potential hazards around the vehicle. At present, testing is seeking to determine how quickly hazards are being identified and how the OTIV software can enable the driver to react more quickly. I'll translate that for you. They want to automate the line and eliminate the driver, so this is what the software is going to do. The current phase of testing is due to be completed this autumn. So again, baby steps all over the place for automated trains. Just a matter of time. With that in light, Swiss tourist rail line makes first move to driverless direction. The testing of the first step is on the way to a driverless operation to begin in 2027. Swiss Rack Railway in the St. Gallen canton has tested a collision warning system, which is in the first stage of planning change to driverless functionality. The 1.6 kilometer route from Heineck to Walzenhausen is a tourist rail service near Lake Constance, operated by a local rail operator, Aprozeni Bahn. Jeez, these names. It's like looking at one of my student lists. Along with the rail and rolling stock, Sadler AB has begun testing the Nova SmartSense collision warning system using the current rolling stock. The system is designed to detect obstacles in the track area at an early stage and automatically initiate train braking to avoid collisions. The next 2 years will be used to collect extensive data and experience with the collision warning system. The aim is to identify disruptive factors and processes on the line to an early stage and gain experience in dealing with the technology. These long-term tests are crucial to ensure the safe and efficient of future driverless operations. So, yep, Switzerland's going to do it first. But then again, the Rack Railway.
It's like you
No
say.
grade crossings.
Yeah, but like you say, also, it's the Rack Railway.
Yep. So it's going up the side of the mountain. There's no roads cutting across it. So, and unless you got some hiker who's lost, there's not going to be any real problems. What are they going to see? It's going up a mountain. Switzerland. Avalanches. That's about the only problem they could have. A
That's
few
it.
rocks and a few mountain goats.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's another one.
Should be very interesting.
Yes. In that light, here's another one. Digital train presented to the EU in Brussels. The tech is key to expanding the capacity of Europe's freight systems because freight in the EU is still manually coupled. A consortium of rail freight companies and railway industry stakeholders led by Duschenbaum said that the digital automatic coupling project has completed testing and is on schedule to begin production. DB board members and DB Cargo Rail CEO presented the system to the European Commission in Brussels in April. A digital freight train has successfully completed a 2-year practical test. Now the first customers in the rail freight transport are set to benefit from the new technology. Essentially, there's no need for a guy to walk along the car to make sure they're coupled, just like our couplers now when they join, but the guy's still got to go and connect the air brakes. This is 100% digital. Once the couplers connect, everything, including the air brakes, are connected.
Well, they've been doing that with subway cars.
Yes, but now they're going to do this in the railroad cars because they've been coupled by hand. And a lot of people don't know. If you look at European freight cars with like Google Maps and stuff, some of them still got the chain and link.
Yep.
I'm like sitting there, no wonder freight's all screwed up in Europe. There's no automatic anything there. So that's the story there. They're going to start rolling that out for all the companies in Europe, all the rail operations. And finally, this one we talked about earlier. Firecrown acquires multiple brands from Combat Media. Firecrown proudly stands as one of the leading transportation media providers serving the aviation, boating, and logistics industries with renowned brands, and I'll go through that in a minute. They acquired from Combat all the Combat books, online, bookstore, the whole works, video, everything, all the media. So I looked up Firecrown operates out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Here's their brands. In aviation, they have the following magazines: Aero Swag, Aircraft for Sale, Airline Geeks, AV Buyer, AV Web, The Aviation Consumer, and The Fields. I never heard of The Fields, but some of these other ones I've heard of. Again, working for that one company, I got to see all these transportation magazines. So, in the marine area, they have boating, Best Marine, electronics and tech, boating safety, cruising world, sailing world regatta series, saltwater sportsman, SFTV, skinny water, sport fishing. On their airlines, they got aviation safety, business air, fineairpilot.com, flying, finance, GA Europe, the fields, the traveling angler, wakeboarding, and yachting. And of course, what they pick up from Comeback is classic toy trains, classic trains, fine scale modeler, garden railways, Comeback hobby store, model railroader, trains&trains.com. In the space area, they pick up IFR, kit planes, light sport aircraft, Midwest model store, plane and pilot, which I think should be under aviation. For some reason, it's under science. And in the astronomy area, they pick up My Science Shop and the space store. Now, under supply chain, it's the magazine called Freight Waves. And I remember Freight Waves when I worked at Pile National. That's what these guys, Fire Crown, started with. A magazine for the trucking industry and shipping in general. You know, everything from the ports to back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're into astronomy, space, boating, the whole works. So that's what's going on. Again, these guys are in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're very proud of it on their website. Check them out. That's the story.
Ah,
Very interesting.
Yes.
but stupid. Okay,
What you got there, Brian?
we got world news.
Woohoo!
Oh, wow.
This is in Railway Magazine, a British magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. They had a lot of stuff. So they put a section in, and they started doing it when the Big Boy was actually being rebuilt,
Mm-hmm.
and we've gone from there. And of course, we had the big talk. We talked about it a couple times. That it was contracted. Alstom was contacted to design a hydrogen train. Well, they have 2 prototypes, and they're going to travel to Saudi Arabia and Canada. Alstom has shipped its 2 ILINT hydrogen chains from Europe to help demonstrate the technology and new reasons. 2 Class 654 demonstrator 2-coach trains were built in 2016 and 17, and 2 fleets of similar production trains, numbered as Class 554, have actually entered service in Germany, operating services west of Hamburg and north of Frankfurt. In the last 5 years, Alstom has taken the demonstration Class 654 trains in multiple European countries where they have worked passenger and test trains. The second ILIN demonstrator 102 and 602 were shipped from Bremerhaven to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia in September 2023 and has since moved by road as 2 separate vehicles there in the Saudi capital of Riyadh, where 2 coaches were attached to each other and the train commissioned for use. From November 14th, the train used for a limited number of demonstration runs over 3 days for rail government officials and their guests. The train, which had been given special Saudi Arabia vinyl wrapping at each end, was used for 20-kilometer round trips from Riyadh South Sar Station. The train remained in Saudi Arabia till late 23. It was unclear whether it would be returned to Germany or be shipped elsewhere in the world. Canadian demonstration, the other demonstrator, spent much of 2023 in Canada, where it was used for demonstration passenger services between Quebec City and Bay St. Paul on the Chemin de Fer Choix. Yes, my French is not good. Between June 17th and the end of September, all the Alstom trains used hydrogen fuel cells supplied by North American firm Accelera, which has factories in Canada. Alstom has received no further orders of Lich from Germany. The first two fleets benefited from one-off German government subsidies. Orders for hydrogen-powered trains in Europe are far behind those for new battery-powered. Oh my God.
Are you okay? Must not.
So anyway,
Yes.
UP is testing a hydrogen train right now.
That's what they're supposedly doing. Anyway, in January, Alstom announced Tentura ordered 2 more, and they're supposed to go to Italy for 2 more.
Yeah, that'll work down there.
Hmm?
That'll work down there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hydrogen going on.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, because the UP is testing one. I think there's still the one on the Florida East Coast, the hydrogen train.
Mm-hmm.
Catch it every so often on virtual rail fan.
And that was for freight service.
So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I think, electrifying local areas is fine, but I don't see them electrifying like between Chicago and LA.
Yeah.
That's just too far. And, I was watching some yo-yo talk about high-speed trains between Chicago and LA, and it's like, he estimated it only costs $4 trillion. What's the problem?
Well,
What else you got?
we haven't had any changes. Okay, and let's see what we got here. Usually, the last steam stronghold.
Yeah, the British Rail magazines are a lot deeper in a lot of stuff
Yeah.
than rails. They're very close to railroads out there.
Chinese steam comes to an end. The last big bastion
Yep.
of finally ended in early 2024. They actually, one railroad they did reactivate, but it lasted for 3 months, and then everything closed down. So, if you didn't make it over there to get your pictures,
You have to go to Iowa Interstate in Iowa
yep,
to catch the last Chinese steam.
actually, there's one in Kentucky.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, R.J. Corman. He's got
Yes.
one. Yeah. But well, it's they had all those plans. Remember the steam turbine? They had plans for that.
Oh,
Whatever ACE 5000.
yeah. AC 3000.
They were going to cook coal to gas to feed it to a turbine to run the train, basically.
No, it was going to be regular piston power.
Oh, I thought it was going to. They were going to cook the coal to get the gas out of it and burn that.
All right.
You okay?
Not really.
Want me to read some of those articles? Just point to it.
Oh, it's okay.
All right.
Okay. Oh, we got it. They did come up with an alert: an endangered species in the American main line. Semaphore signals have almost totally disappeared from the main lines in North America. The only location on the national network, also used by Amtrak, is between Colomore and Wagon Mound, New Mexico. were less than 11 electrically powered semaphores originally installed by the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway in the 20s and used in the Las Vegas, New Mexico, La Junta, Colorado subdivision. This is owned by Freight Railroad BNSF, but for many years has been used by Amtrak Southwest Chief. Chicago LA service. The train is seen on the 23rd, passing the semaphores near Wagon Butte with GEP 42 locomotives, 187 and 44.
Well, you know what happened there? The semaphores didn't keep up with inflation. They should have been semi-5s or semi-6s now, and they just didn't keep up.
Yep. What can I say?
Again, they're doing radio. They got the PTC now, which comes in question when two trains collided with PTC in operation.
Yep.
So it's they're scratching their heads on what happened there.
That's what I mean. You know, the people.
Hey, rushed the technology, not tested.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they do? Oh,
I
okay.
work for a number of companies. We write the software, and they said, put it into production. We'll worry about it later.
Of course.
Well, let's see what Mr. Bryan left us, because he's got to go do something real quick, something with the car. So let's see what we got here. And there's some news about some of the rail lines. For example, Great Lakes Terminal has expanded its operations on the south side of Chicago. It was a 3-track transload. Now they're going to take over the track that's behind the CRRC, which is the company that builds the CTA cars, for the Chinese company that builds the CTA cars, and they're going to take over the switching behind that plant there. So basically, they've doubled their size. And then I mentioned the UP's running those natural gas, hydrogen locomotive. There's a couple of companies running natural gas. We'll see how that works out. I mentioned it, Virtual Rail Fan. They have a camera over at the Cumberland, on the at Cumberland Gap. So they watch B&O trains, and then in Cumberland, Maryland, they got a camera that watches the Western Maryland, which is the museum operations, and you can watch steam engines. Right now, they're rebuilding the bridge to the place. There's a bridge nearby and over the river, and that's being rebuilt. So you can watch them rebuild that. And there's in the latest issue of, in the March issue of Rail Pace, there's a nice article about the Danbury branch up in down in Connecticut. It runs from Danbury to South Norwalk. That one's on Virtual Rail Fan. You can watch it. It's called the Soho camera, South Norwalk. And you can see the trains veer off. It's a 1-track cutoff where the commuter trains go. And kind of interesting branch. It's partially or mostly electrified. And most of the times you see diesel engines hauling the trains back and forth. And a couple of days ago I was watching the camera, and so sure enough, there was an electric train with an electric locomotive pulling a commuter train down that branch. So it's an interesting branch. It used to be owned by the New Haven Railroad, then Penn Central, then Conrail. Providence and Western has the freight rights on it. Now that's a G and W, Genesee and Wyoming operation. So those locomotives are now being repainted to the nice orange and black. So that's what's going on down at Norwalk and PNW. So it's a nice article. It covers all the stations up and down the line, all the way up to Danbury. So if you guys get a chance, grab that article. If you're a rail fan and a model railroader, it's a good article because it points out a lot of stuff that you can model and a lot of the operations should you actually get up there. Another article in here is the Madison Railroad down in North Vernon, Indiana. That's another short line. They got a nice, interesting operation. I think these were the guys that had the Madison Railroad has one piece that it doesn't operate any longer, which was the steepest grade in the country. Obviously, they don't operate it right now. It's It's going to be turned into a trail, I think. But they operate a transload at one end and connect to the network at the other end. And let's see what else they got here in this magazine. That was pretty good. I'm going to have to get this issue. Those are two rail operations I like. And, of course, it covers some Canada stuff. The short line operators are getting bigger. And the new company called Railmark is taking over an operation down in Mississippi called the Tashima something railroad. Then it became something else, and now they're taking it over. It was built to go to an industrial park that has yet to be built, of course. So right now they're just storing rail cars on it, and they think they can make a profit on it and run it. So, and of course the track is owned by the state, so the state leases it out. Every time they find an operator that can't make it, they dump them and find a new one. So the state's not losing any money on the deal. Yeah, it goes. That's the way it goes out there. And I'm trying to think what else is out there. I was looking at this morning real quick, and then I was trying to trace the history of Housatonic Railroad, and they had a subsidiary called Danbury Terminal. It had nothing to do with Danbury Branch, and they operated for a short period of time until they got in trouble with Metro North commuter, and the commuter kicked them out. And the state of Connecticut said, well, we're not going to lease the track to you any longer, and you don't have the freight rights any longer. So the Housatonic picked up other track. So their system map, if you look at it today, looks like nothing what it was 5 years ago to what it was 10 years ago, because of the constant leasing, releasing, losing the lease, other railroad companies taking over and stuff. So if you're tracing short lines, which I like to do, it becomes a pain in the neck trying to figure out what's going on now.
You gotta have a scorecard.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I got it all on a spreadsheet, and I got trouble keeping it square.
Oh, I can imagine.
So
That many changes. It's almost like on a daily basis. Up. Tomorrow we have a new person. Next day we got another new person. It's like.
Yeah, I've been doing rail fanning by Google Street View. So I just got through about 2 months ago doing the East Ohio Valley. And I go look on the STB, and guess what? These guys have leased 18 more miles of track and doubled the size of their operation, which means now I got to go back and change the PowerPoint for it, among other things. So it's, Mr. Bryan's back. How's your car?
Okay.
And I was reading some stuff out of this guy, so.
That's why I brought him in.
So if you want to take back over, that's fine. If you want me to continue jabbering and.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, I'll give you a Grayland.
I'm the one that jabbers a lot.
I'll give you a Grayland update. Guess what? The tracks are now on the new bridge and in operation. Finally. Oh. But the Milwaukee Avenue is still closed because they're dismantling the old temporary bridge. And they haven't built the new Grayland station yet. So they're thinking June 30, end of June, maybe opening Milwaukee Avenue finally.
You're kidding.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, they're still fooling around there. I got some pictures with me if you want to see what they got, what's out there. But
oh boy!
And here's the thing: the initial plan called for a bridge straight across Milwaukee with no middle support. Okay. Guess what? There's a middle support, and it looks like a battleship. This thing could probably take a hit by 19 buses before it breaks.
I thought the way it was looking, there was going to be no support whatsoever.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be. But all of a sudden, I don't know what the change in the plans, but now there's a middle support in the middle of the road to hold up the bridge, and it's built. I bet a tank could hit it and not do damage to it, and it's got a nice point on it.
Where's that?
Milwaukee and Kilbourne.
Kilbourne.
In
Chicago.
In Chicago, yeah.
Well, no, I didn't know where exactly.
Yeah. It's on the Milwaukee North line, on the Metro Milwaukee North, Grayland. Mm-hmm. Right now, the train stops on the Addison side to let people off because they put a temporary station there, all wood. But when they built the new one, it's going to be back on the Milwaukee side, but longer so it can accommodate 8 cars. Right now, the thing only can accommodate the old station can only accommodate 5 cars.
Right.
The temporary can only accommodate 4 cars, so they're built to accommodate 8 cars. This is Metro math, okay? You've been there.
I go by there just to see what's going on.
I know exactly. Okay, now I know exactly. Oh, geez, yes.
Here, I'll bring up the picture of the. I think I got a picture of. Oh no, this is a picture from the other side. And see which picture has the shows the support. Now this is the old bridge. I don't think it's. Let's see. Yeah, you could just barely see it. You can see the support right there for the middle. So right here on the right side, just barely.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge concrete megastructure. I'm sorry. Let me get it back.
Oh, really?
See, you can just see the support right there.
Yeah, okay.
And it's I've been taking pictures at various stages here, so I have like a track record. I figure I can make a nice little thing on the model railroad, whenever it gets built. You know?
Yeah.
And I thought that would be pretty cool. But I'm like looking at this thing, thinking, wait a minute, that's not the original plans they showed 3 years ago.
So they're still fooling around with the station part.
Doug, are you telling me that the support is in the middle of Milwaukee Avenue?
Yep.
You know, years ago, I grew up on Addison and Oakley, down by Lane Tech High School.
Okay.
In fact, when I looked out my bedroom window, I could see the Lane Tech clock tower, and I looked to my left, I could see Riverview Park's parachute jump. Years ago, at Addison and Lincoln, there was a viaduct there, and they had supports that were out in the middle of Addison Street and out in the middle of Lincoln Avenue.
Yep.
And there were many, many accidents, and there were a lot of people that protested and wanted those pillars removed. They wouldn't do it. They says no, they wouldn't do it. Until the alderman, who lived just a couple blocks away, one of his family members was involved in a hit and run and a deadly crash, and they hit the pillar. Guess what, gentlemen? Shortly after that, the pillars were gone.
Yep.
But it had to take a person's life, a death, in order to do it. So right now, as we sit here and talk, there's no pillars going across Addison and Lincoln Avenue, because a member of Charlie Weber, and I don't know if you people remember Charlie Weber.
Charlie Weber was the man in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he lived over on Addison and Walcott, Wolcott,
On the corner.
Yeah, that's right, exactly right. And he was not only the alderman in the area, but he also owned or was part owner or had a lot to say about Riverview Park. And every time there was a problem there with the natives, Charlie Weber was there. And of course, me living just a few blocks away from there, was a couple of times I went there and Charlie, I met Charlie. I shook his hand 2 or 3 different times, but it just seemed so strange that it had to take a person's life in order to get something accomplished. And like I said, shortly after somebody in his family, I don't know if it was his sister or her daughter or somebody in his family got killed because of those pillars. The pillars became history.
Well, they can actually span that distance because they did it at Ogden Avenue with the Burlington.
Well, well, at that Addison and Lincoln there is a pillar, but it's not in the middle
sidewalk.
It's like on the sidewalk area.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, you're right.
But you were saying, because the accident, though, was a hit and run.
Well, I'm not sure if it was hit and run. All I know is this person hit the pillar and was killed. I think it was hit and run, but I think the person who died in the car hit the pillar.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it was hit and run or if it was just an accident where they hit the pillar. I don't remember. That was many years ago.
That was in your youth.
Yes. Yes.
Well, now the old Milwaukee Bridge that they took out just had a single I-beam, and they had a small, like little cement bump in front of it. And then because people kept hitting it and scraping it all the time, they put those garbage cans around it, the yellow garbage cans with sand on it, and those things were routinely hit and scraped.
Yeah.
So let's put up this monstrosity cement thing to keep that from happening. It's like, okay.
We'll see how many accidents happen.
It's like, well, they've already had that one where the truck was turning and didn't see the guy in the bicycle and ran him over. That's why that bicycle, that white one, is sitting there now for the memorial. And then there's one across the street where that happened because they got a bike lane underneath there. And now you're taking 2 lanes of traffic and squeezing it down to 1. Everybody races through there, so now they have a new traffic light at Kilpatrick. They got a stop sign on the other side of the tracks between the tracks and Shores High School. And now then they got a traffic light at Kilbourne and Milwaukee, which is not running right now because it's closed. So they've been trying to figure out how to slow traffic down through there too.
They'll slow it down.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. Put some speed bumps in.
Well, that's like on Irving Park. You got the corners with the lights, then you got Kilpatrick, and then you've got
not the one at the medical center now.
the medical center.
And then you got one at Keeler at the
then you got
Starbucks.
Keeler.
And you got one at the YMCA 2 blocks away, and one at the Expressway
right.
2 blocks
I mean,
away. Yeah.
It's going to be almost, but it's just like having stop signs. Who cares about a stop sign? We slow down. Oh, there's nobody coming. We go right through it.
Out in Britain, you know what they're doing to slow people down? They're putting fake potholes in the street. They actually have a vinyl thing that they peel off and stick to the street. You come down the street and you see this big hole. Everybody slows down only to find out it's fake. I go, we don't have to go fake. We got the real thing.
Yeah, we got a pothole.
That's it. Yeah.
We got a pothole on our street.
Nothing beats the real thing.
Yeah, that's right. What the heck, we need phony ones. We got the real ones.
Yeah, we got the real one.
Oh, I had a meme that said, watch out, they're driving like it looks like a Creators of the Moon, and the lady yells, watch out, there's a piece of street up ahead. Anyway, so what do you got there, Brian?
Well, we got Rail Pace Magazine, May.
I talked about the Danbury Terminal in Madison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That
Tell us about the steam engine that was here today.
Huh?
Oh,
yeah. It actually came into town yesterday. And they had the way they were telling people they were going to bring it downtown and then come up that way to go back into the yard. Well, they said, I'll fool you too. And they brought it in through Glenview, where they get onto the C&W track.
They come on the new line around the airport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they like they normally do when they bring freights in. You know, sort of like when the big boy came to town.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, it brought the train in. I mean, they got a nice train length, and they're carrying a crew with them, and they're bringing a lot of officials with them. They'll be heading for. They're leaving tonight.
I thought they were leaving tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Because they're doing something else with the executives tomorrow.
Here, guys, listen for the train. Put your head to the track. No, that's wrong, guys.
And but the train looked fabulous.
Oh yeah, it was so clean. It was pathetic, and
they didn't go chimp on the paint either.
I mean, it was it was really done well. I was amazed. And then you had two trailers, 2 water tanks behind the.
Yeah, they had 2 thermos bottles.
I understand they did not have diesel assist. Is that correct?
No diesels there.
Okay.
But they weren't revving. Now they were on.
Oh, okay. That's probably the trip to signal systems.
Signal systems and also HEP.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because everybody else was standing around. They were talking about, well, yeah, what about the steam heat? Well, I haven't used steam heat for a while. Maybe for their bathtubs. But yeah, they came in. The the engine finally showed up on display. I think it was, what,
2:45. It rolled.
2:45.
It rolled in.
Yeah. And everybody was saying, oh, yeah, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Well, it was originally 1, but we're going to go 3.
And there were a lot of people.
And people started showing from
Yeah.
2:30 on. I mean, we've had some people there most of the time before noon. And the thing is, they opened up, they had a trailer come in and had a complete history of the CP Railroad inside, walking through the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The people were really great, too. Most of the people are going to travel with the train. They were talking, some of them are going to be getting off when they hit the Texas border in Laredo.
They got subpoenas against them or something?
Huh?
They have subpoenas against them or something?
I guess so.
Can't go into Texas?
They went, I mean, but the train itself,
It was very, very interesting. It was.
they actually they have a really good setup. They had their own miniature version train to carry the kids around, like Little Obie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite nice.
And it was a perfect day for it. I mean, the weather was nice. It was cool.
Yesterday, normal Chicago weather. It would have sucked.
Yeah, it would have sucked is right. No, it was.
Looking forward, and they're actually going to come back the way they go. So they might stop back here.
Back around the airport in Alton, or... Oh, okay. There's a lot of great spots along that line.
No, we're talking about when the train comes back from Mexico City.
Oh, okay. It's going to have wheels on it.
We were talking, that has come up.
Look out one morning, it's up on bricks.
I mean, even the...
Senor, you want your wheels back?
Even the CP people.
Oh, jeez.
And well, of course, the cops in Franklin Park, they were sitting there saying it. Yeah, I could see them up on boxes, no wheel. And I'm sitting there going, gee, now that would make a nice Far Side cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, they have that for Chicago. Every now and then you see a GP40 up on blocks with no wheels saying, oh, it was left overnight in Chicago.
That's it. Oh, they were. I mean, it was,
So they're going
you couldn't ask for a better crew.
So they're going to come back from Mexico City through Chicago, then where?
Well, it'll go up through Minneapolis,
Okay.
and then into Calgary.
Okay.
That's
So
where it's
basically they're
gonna come
going
back.
over the whole CPKC line.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Because they operate the whole tri-country now.
That's it. Even though they are not larger.
Yeah.
They're still a small railroad.
Hey, it's the revenue that counts.
Yes.
I was taught that in business. You could have a 3-person company that turns over $1 million a year, and you could have a 100-person company that turns over $1 million a year. Which one's more efficient?
There you go.
So it's
That's what it is. But I learned a long time. Don't discount anybody.
That's why Google and Facebook are extremely profitable. They don't have that many employees because it doesn't take that many employees to write software that's used by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like producing a can of corn where after the corn is used, you throw the can away, you got to get new cans, more material, fill the can up, put it on the store shelf. That requires a lot of people. Software, once it's written, you just need one person to take care of it occasionally when a bug is found. You don't need a lot of people. That's why those companies are extremely profitable.
Hey, Redenbach.
And that's where the railroads are striving with all this automation. They're trying to get to that point. No people.
Yeah, and the thing is,
I'd like to see them do that with a steam locomotive. Now imagine a driverless steam locomotive. No, and I just picture that robot from Lost in Space. Emergency, we're opposite, we need more fire.
highly illogical.
Or one of the robots from Star Wars. Boop, 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 more fire.
R2.
I mean, I just can't picture a automated steam locomotive.
No.
I just can't. You know, there's too many variables there.
But it's
It's still mind-boggling to be driverless
Cars and
cars.
trucks, yeah.
that just
well, it's just like with ships. Yeah, destroyers and such, ships of that class. Even, the fuel that the subs use, nuclear.
Mm-hmm.
you're still going to have some kind of manpower.
Or as Homer would say, nuclear.
But see, you have that, okay, nukes. But turbines, yes, just a lot of the destroyers are all turbine driven. Can't do it with an aircraft carrier.
No, that'd be very scary.
Well, in the software business, which I was in for a long time, the one phrase you can say is never say never.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
It's a matter of time. That's all, time and money. Who wants to throw away the money to come up with the first one? That's the one that costs the most. Once it's done, the rest are easy. Can it be done? Probably. Should it be done? Probably not.
That's right, because if you put it in, you put yourself at the mercy of one turbine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because it wouldn't be dual function. It'd be just one engine driving the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And what does aircraft carrier got? What, 3 or 4 diesels?
Well, we got diesels on there for emergency power.
Oh, okay.
The turbines using fuel, you're looking at, you have 4 shafts.
That much management, huh?
Okay, moving along.
Yeah. Who's shafted?
But we get back to railroads. It's the driverless train is coming. We just don't know what form. Biggest problem? Grade crossings. That's it. That's the biggest problem. Once you get rid of the grade crossings, it's actually not that big of a deal anymore.
Well, things.
Because it doesn't have a driverless car. The software has to figure out where the road is first. And then it has to figure out where the edge of the road is. It's got to figure out which side of the road it's on. And then it's got to start looking for obstacles. It's got to read the signs and figure out what they say. Railroad doesn't have that problem. Just follow the tracks. Now you just got to look for obstacles. And watch your speed, basically. But watch the obstacles and watch the track to make sure it's not broken. So it's got less parameters or less inputs to deal with.
But see,
But again, physics comes in. Now we're talking physics. See, you got a 2-ton car, no problem. You got a 180-ton train, you got a different problem here. You want to stop? A mile and a half later.
That's it.
Doesn't stop on a dime, it
18
stops on a
football
quarter.
fields.
Well, I like to say, the car stops on a dime, the train stops on the $1.50.
But yeah, that's why.
It's not impossible, but it's going to happen.
It's not impossible. But what I mean is,
are we going to see it?
Why are we trying to get rid of the people in the cab now?
Good question. I can't speak for the management other than I think you have too many Harvard graduates looking at spreadsheets.
You have a lot of millennials.
Well, not only that, just Harvard graduates. That's usually what screws up a company. I know. I watch boards get screwed up. I remember them complaining about, the price of Harvard grads went up this year. So hire somebody who's got an MBA from DePaul or Loyola. No, we need a Harvard grad. Well, you're going to get what you're going to pay for. And then they come in and screwed up the company. Look what Wards is today. They were run by a bunch of Harvard grads. Oh, wait a minute. Wards went out of business.
Yeah.
Oh, Sears was hired a bunch of MBAs. Where's Sears today?
Out of business.
Yeah. Rest my case.
The smarter they are, the dumber they are.
Why, it's the Harvard, Yale, and what do you call those? The Ivy League schools. That's the problem right there. They're too busy looking at a spreadsheet saying, well, you know, a 2% error is no problem. I remember my friend's dad was complaining about some company where at the end of the week they had to run hot lead through the molding machines to clean them. And they got some guy, they hired some guy from one of the Ivy League schools, and he's looking at the spreadsheet. Well, you know, a 2% error rate's not a big deal. So he canceled the cleaning. Guess what happened the next week, about midweek? The machine jammed. And the lead backed up in the molten. When they went to go clean it, the lead couldn't get through, backed up and spilled over the machine and fried everything. Now they had to go buy another $50,000 machine. I go, I bet that wasn't in the 2% error rate.
He was so smart. So smart.
The same happened at a tobacco company. This was actually a case problem in one of my classes, talking about, you know, you got to go out to the field sometimes to see what's going on. Don't look at your spreadsheet. Now, I'm talking tobacco. We know it's all taboo today, but, you know, the machines the tobacco has to be dry to make the cigarettes.
Yes.
Period. There's no
If, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah. Well, guy came in from Harvard and said, that's not a problem. Go ahead and use the damp ones. Well, guess what? The machine's jammed up. Cost a couple $100,000 to fix it. Now, he got fired. They had to go clean the machines, and they went back to the dry. They promoted a guy from inside. Everything back to normal. They were using the dry material to make the cigarettes. Lesson learned.
He broke it.
Yeah, you can't look at a spreadsheet. You know, it's great to collect numbers, but you know,
if they don't know how to operate the equipment, they shouldn't be at
That's
the
right.
position they're in.
But see,
and that's the problem the railroads are having. Look at what's hiring in the upper front office. How many of those people actually worked on a railroad? For real. I mean, you see the guys who actually worked on a railroad are doing a good job. You see the guys they bring in, like, what's the name? What's that guy they brought in from the airlines to run Amtrak for a while? And how he screwed that all up.
oh, yeah.
Case in point. Oh, well, it's a transportation. We'll run Amtrak like the airline.
And then all of a sudden,
The airline doesn't work the same way. They book between point A and point B, and that's it. Amtrak's got point A to 25 point Bs. So which one do you book to? And the guy sits on the train. He doesn't get off at each stop like the airline does. When you do the puddle hoppers, they give you time to get off and get on. They don't do that on Amtrak.
Because they don't. All they're doing is they're book smart and the spreadsheet, and they
Yep.
don't. They
Oh,
don't
no,
work.
the guy came from the airlines. The airlines runs different when they book passengers.
yeah.
Hello.
And so they're running like half-empty trains, or they'd book a seat and the guy get, from Chicago to Minneapolis, and the system would book him all the way through to Seattle, even though he's getting off at Minneapolis. So the seat would be empty for the rest of the trip.
But see, that's
That's just the way. That's
Yeah,
not
but
supposed to work that way, but it's doing it.
It's classic business management. You can inventory the seat. No, you can't.
well, it's the same. Amtrak was going through the hard times there in the 70s.
Yep.
And finally, they got a man in there and told Congress where to go.
Had a spine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing, too. You need people with spines.
And yeah, they sit there and says, yeah, we got this one man. He could probably. And Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter gave him his job because he had to retire from the company he was with.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jimmy Carter made him Secretary of the Navy. And I'm proud to say I got to be his driver.
Well, cool.
Whoopsie dookski.
But see, all of a sudden, within 3 weeks.
So when the guy got out of the car in the rain, you were standing there with the umbrella, right?
Well, that was okay until they let me get on his private car.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know if we should be talking to him.
His brother invited him to come to ride, a steam special with the locomotive that he handpicked to be the next Southern locomotive.
Cool.
The guy's name was Graham Claytor.
Ooh, okay.
Graham Claytor, through the law department, I found out a lot of interesting things about him. He was on the first destroyer to pick up survivors of the Indianapolis.
Ooh. That's the one with all the sharks, right? Yeah. I didn't know that.
But yeah, so his brother was who worked for Norfolk Western, and they were singing. So yeah, he's the one that had the Texas. They bought that the 610.
So that's why he was a good fit for the running Amtrak. He had a lot of connections. Yeah, he did a good job considering that they weren't giving him any money or anything.
Yeah, I mean he, you know.
And then, of course, you got the political trains that when it runs in to Fredericksburg, that Amtrak has to run because the guy controls the purse strings. So you got remember the Janesville one? They had one from Chicago to Janesville, which everybody scratched their head like, why? Still don't understand that one. Then they try to get into the freight business, and it wasn't really the freight business, it was the express business.
See, that's it. That express was perfect.
Yes.
They weren't, they were delivering packages.
It was LCL, less than carload.
Yep.
It was basically having a contract with UPS, USPS, and FedEx to haul stuff between, like the Railway Express Agency, just a different way.
That was it. Perfectly.
Yeah.
And what happened in 2 years? Oh,
they're making money. We
got
that.
money. That's exactly what happened. All of a sudden, they had enough money. All of a sudden, then they had an overnight train in Pennsylvania, and they had one that ran in daylight.
Yep.
They did that on several lines.
Yeah. I remember that. That's how the Janesville one got started, because it was hauling stuff to Janesville and back. Less than carload.
And the thing is, yes, they had...
Business railroads didn't want, so what's the problem here? Oh, wait a minute, they're making money off of freight.
They had the railroaders. They had their own hazmat, all hauling cars. They
I know it's a big deal now when you see one of the old Amtrak box cars out there because it's still got the Amtrak colors. Everybody gets excited right away. Oh, look, there's one of those Amtrak box cars. And in fact, you can see a few of them over by Chicago Junction by O'Hare Airport. Somebody over there is using them for shipping.
But I'm sitting there going, Amtrak ought to still do this. Again, you got they can. They'll do what they can to keep it screwed.
Yep.
Well, they to them, railroads are old-fashioned.
I wish I kept the picture. The Reader once had a little comic strip they used to run. And one of them, I wish I kept it. I don't know. I might have it someplace because I haven't got to the stuff in the garage yet. And it showed like a street. And it showed like a bunch of log cabins. Then the next panel had the street with a bunch of, like buildings. Then the next one had a rail line next to it. Then the next one had modern buildings. And the final panel goes, what's next? Because it showed the railroad gone. And it said, what's next? It was very interesting, because you see the rail line and you see it overdeveloped with industry and then gone. All condos and stuff. And that's where we're going. You see a lot of the properties being chewed up that way. Look what's happening in South Loop. All of a sudden, South Loop has discovered the old railroad properties. They're finally going to drop some money there.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of dropping it on railroads, they're dropping it on condos. Oh, well. All right.
I believe it's time.
Mr. John.
Sorry, John, we sorry to keep you up. We're 10 minutes late. Oh. As our train comes rolling into the station, thank you for coming to our coming to join us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be heard on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all our past episodes, and also sample some of the other programs that are being offered. This is your announcer, Brian Valou, co-host Ron Messner, Doug Kenyuk, and our electrical engineer, John DeVita, wishing you all a happy one till next month when we travel to Chicago Junction.
Good night. Goodbye.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, May the 8th, the year 2024. Chicago Junction was produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikanda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, May the 8th, the year 2024. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening.